So actually, I'm going to go on to another question about sort of real life, uh, supernatural-esque paranormal people and people in history. Sin asks, I'm very interested to know if we will have more interaction with the voodoo queen, Marie Laveau.
Yes, you will. She has already turned up in Up from the Grave, which is the next Cat and Bones novel that I'm writing now. And her character is a great character. And she's someone that I read about, researched about as well, and found, again, her history was more interesting to me than her legend, because you hear about Marie Laveau, and yes, she's commonly known as the Voodoo Queen, and I call her that in my books as well. But really, she was so much more than that. She was a hairdresser when she was in New Orleans, and a lot of people credit that with how she knew everything that was going on that people thought she knew by supernatural means. Well, women chat with their hairdresser. And she also was, very involved in charities and children's hospital. And she volunteered at the local, I believe it was Catholic Children's Hospital. And I believe she was a Catholic as well. So even though she did dabble in, voodoo and gree and that sort of thing, but sure, she was so much more interesting to me in the historical background than just as someone who was known for some of the voodoo activities. And what I also found interesting was her husband died under mysterious circumstances, her first husband, and there were rumors that she kind of did away with him. So I brought that forward into my books as well when I decided to use her. And that's the great thing about writing vampires and ghouls, is if I find someone interesting in history, I can bring them forward and just say, well, they're still alive because they're undead. And that's been a lot of fun to do as a writer, and to try and, pull them forward from the past and imagine what they'd be like in our world today. So I think Marie is a great character. She's scary to write sometimes, and I really enjoy putting her in the books and pitting her against my hero and heroine, because she's more than a match for them.
Um, it's so interesting, just to like interject, because I actually just went to go see her grave and
Ah,
kind of
yes.
learn the story of her. And yeah, she was a wacky Catholic. Very, but yeah, I mean, fascinating character, and I mean, real life figure. And so obviously, that's a draw for your readers. So now I have another question about character. This time, one of your characters, not a real figure. Antoinette, not a real figure in history, and one of your characters. Antoinette asks, "What gives with Don? He's still secretive, even as a ghost."
Yes, he is. And the reason why he has been so shady and secretive is going to be revealed in Up from the Grave. And it's kind of a terrible secret. And he's had a good reason to hide it, because it really is devastating to Kat when she finds out what it is. And it affects a lot of different things that going forward with them. So I don't mean to be a tease, but if I would tell you what it was, it would be a huge spoiler. So all I can say is that you won't have much longer to wait to find out why Don has been acting the way he has been acting, and why he's refused to divulge anything about Madigan, who is a character that appeared in One Grave at a Time. And Madigan is also in this book, and things come to a head
Um,
in Up from the Grave. And so like I said, I've been pulling readers toward this with things before, and it'll tie back to events in the second book and the first book as well. So I'm excited to show readers kind of what's been behind door number 7 now all this time.
that's. I feel like Antoinette's gonna be really happy.
Well, maybe
um,
not. She might want to really hurt Don.
yeah, yeah, but still. Um, so Karina says, "I have a serious love-hate feeling about Vlad." I think a lot of people do. During the writing process, do you ever stop and think, "Wow, this guy can be a real jerk"?
Yes. Yes, many times while writing Once Burned, and especially the first half of Twice Tempted, if I could have reached through the computer and just shaken Vlad I would have, of course, then if I could have, he would have killed me and that would have been that. But, it was very frustrating for me as an author because, I consider myself pretty much of a feminist and he is medieval chauvinist in a lot of ways. And so I would get angry at him just writing the scenes. But then again, I introduced him in the books as a side character years ago with the personality and the background that he had. He came from a dark, brutal time in the 1400s. This is who he is. Even falling in love, this is who he is. So I couldn't just say he fell in love and magically became cuddly and fuzzy. He didn't. And it's cause of a lot of conflict between him and Layla. So in that way, I kind of wrote myself in a corner with Vlad. I presented him as he was, and as I imagined he would be. If the 15th century former prince had still existed today, I don't imagine that he'd be knitting and watching Golden Girls. So it was trying to show the other side of him as well. There's the brutality, there's the high-handedness, there's the arrogance, but then it was showing there's more to him than that. And I can only hope that readers like Layla were able to see the whole package of Vlad and accept it, instead of just his darker sides, which is what he's kind of put forth on the outside for people to see a lot of. So yeah, I want to smack him too. I want to smack a lot of my characters at times.
Well, I can't imagine any author just being happy with their characters all the time. It wouldn't make a very good book. It wouldn't make a good story. So LaShonda asks, could you please tell me when Cat and Bones book 7, I think she means, oh yeah, which I believe is called Up from the Grave, which you've spoken of, will be available for pre-ordering?
They usually put the pre-order link about 6 months before release, sometimes a little sooner, sometimes not quite so much. So last I heard, it's probably coming out maybe December, end of December, beginning of January, somewhere around that time frame. And if my editor were, if you Skyped her on the video, she'd probably say, yeah, well, if you were done with the book, I'd give you an exact release date. So that's on me. But I imagine it'll be up for pre-order in the next couple months, or at least, because if it is coming out the very end of this year, then sometime around summer, maybe summer, late summer, it should have the pre-order link up. And, once it does, of course, I'll update my website and then let readers know. And hopefully it won't be too long, but, I wish I could write the story as fast as I can think of the story. That would make everyone's lives easier.
Well, that also means your fans have a lot to look forward to this year. So now many of, I would say probably the overwhelming question that kept coming up is, will you ever write a book about Ian?
Yes, this is actually in my FAQs now, but I'm answering it because I get asked it so often. The answer is maybe. And it would have been...
It's not a good enough answer for them. That's why they keep asking.
I know. Maybe. He's moved his way toward the point where he's not just only the morally bankrupt slut that he has been in the previous books, although he has only just moved beyond that point.
Yeah.
As of the events in the Bite Before Christmas anthology. So if he moves a little bit further, I think I can get him to where he can meet the woman I already have picked out in my mind as his heroine, and she can, start quite literally beating him into shape, which, if readers know Ian, they know he would take that like foreplay. That's his bag. So
well, that's
a bit of a sick puppy.
To end this questionnaire. I think it's very, very fitting. So is there anything you just want to say, to your readers before we kind of sign off?
Well, just, thanks so much for asking all the questions, and I'm sorry that I couldn't get to them, get to every last one of them. But again, if I'm doing that, then I'm not writing the book, and I hope that readers appreciate the story once it's out. And that will answer a lot of questions that I can't answer now. So I just want to thank them for following me through not only with Cat and Bones, but also with the spin-off books and with the new Night Prince series. And I hope they enjoy the end resolution of both Lad and Layla and Cat and Bones. So
Great. Well, thank you so much. And Goodreads fans, thank you for all of your questions.
thank you. And thank you for helping me out with the Skype chat.
No problem. All right.